Hey guys, how's it going? This is Jetty the Wise. Today I'm going to go over doing a minimization for a Magstrike from a stock Magstrike. I'll also go over a little bit of the internals of a Magstrike for any one of you who are looking to work with the stock Magstrike, how it works, etc. So right now I've got this is a stock Magstrike that I picked up. I've already unscrewed it to save us a little bit of time. When you unscrew a Magstrike, you do have this one piece right in here, depending on your model, may actually be glued in. So the easiest way I find to open these is to unscrew completely, and then you can start to unhinge it this way. And then you can bend this enough to technically crack this piece a little bit enough. Sometimes you can get it loose enough to where you can kind of wiggle it out and work it out. This one was older and brittle and it actually busted on me, which is fine because I'm going to cut off this whole part right in here, so I won't even need it. So to me that's junk right now. But anyways, once you get this guy open, I'm going to stick this shell right over here. The Magstrike is actually very simple for the most part. You have your pump mechanism, which just slides right on out. This pump right in here. See, I'll get a little refocused here for you guys. This tube goes right into the bladder right here, and you have your release valve right here, so if you over pump it too much, it releases the air. So you got that tube going in from the pump. That's a one-way valve in there, so it pumps it up and it holds the air in the bladder. Then you have a tube coming right in here. This is pressurized as the bladder is pressurized. And then you have a trigger switch right here. So when you pull back that trigger, that's just a simple valve that actuates the valve, which then actuates the arm up here. Now the way the Magstrike works is that this right here, there's an internal spring, and this arm advances forward, which advances the lever arm, and this lever arm advances the magazine. And here you have both of the holes. This is just a single opening right here, and then you have this which stays stationary right here as this arm moves. And so with the Magstrike mag, which I'll grab one of them, you can see has alternating holes, and this just has parallel holes. So what happens is as this advances, one hole is covered each time it advances up. So if you want to, I've seen a number of people modify it so it's just singled. You can do that if you want. I usually like to use the magazines just because I have a lot of them, and I can do a lot of stuff with those magazines. Another thing here as well too is you do have this. I usually take this out in all my Magstrikes. You have a little mechanism right in here. Get a little focused here. This little mechanism right here, all that does is this, when this pushes back, you see that little lever comes up, allows the trigger to be pulled. If you want to take that out so you can always fire it, all you got to do is unscrew. Get back in here. All you gotta do is unscrew these two guys right here. You can put this guy back in if you want to. It's totally up to you. It's just a little extra piece. I always take it out. So it's just a little arm right in here. Little spring. Little roller so it rolls with the magazine. You could just take that right out. Take this guy out with the magazine. I usually never use them, so I'm just going to leave it out. So you got that guy right there. If you wanted to, you could just assemble it back together just like that, and you would be able to pull the trigger anytime you want to if that's the mod that you'd wish you want to do on there. But today we're going to go ahead and minimize this guy. And I usually use mine with an external air tank system. Usually all I have to do is I have these two pieces here. This a connector valve, which can go right into my air tank, which I have underneath my workbench. And if I plug this on here right now, it's just going to let out air. And this is just a push to connect valve. This is actually a more expensive one that I got that works in sub-zero temperatures because for HVZ running around during the winter games, these lines and connections can get very rigid and cause air leaks. So if you get this is a $5 one as compared to the cheaper $2 or $3 ones, but these hold the seal much better in lower temperatures if you're using push to connect, and that's true for any air gun. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just remove this whole bladder system and set it up for use with my external air tank system. I'm just going to go ahead and undo these screws here. My other smaller one. I'm just going to unscrew this air bladder part here. And I'll usually just save these screws because I have so many pieces that I take apart. I end up losing screws and stuff. I'll go ahead and take out this thing here. You never know when you're going to need extra parts. That guy out. So, I mean, all in all, there's your internal system right there. It's pretty simple and straightforward, which is why I love working with the Magstrike so much. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my X-Acto knife here. I like using this for cutting these because they're real nice, simple. I'm just going to leave a little bit of lead on here in case I want to sell off this tank. I don't really need much on here. Let's just make a nice cut right here. So there we go. Nice clean cut for that bladder system in case I want to sell that. Put that out of the way right now. Right up there. So there we go. That's pretty much all. And then put on this push to connect. Now one thing, if you're working with Magstrikes, I have noticed the yellow ones use a traditional 1/4 inch diameter, outer diameter tube, which makes them really, really nice for modifying to use with other systems. I've used couplings on one of my other ones in order to change where the hosing is routed. You've probably seen that. I've actually on this one have relocated the trigger up here so you can see I've got coupling here and here, and it's just 1/4 inch outer diameter, so it makes it really easy to get parts for it. So right there, that's all I have to do for the internals. Internals are ready to go. I can actually plug this guy in right here. And it's all ready to go. It was about that simple. So from here, it's pretty much just getting the shell all cut up. I'm going to just take out the internals, and we just got a shell that we can work with here. Now the easiest way I like working with cutting the plastic, I don't use an X-Acto knife for cutting plastic. Just because this blade is intended just for real small stuff. It works good for tubing and other real fine cuts and stuff like that, but I don't use it for big heavy duty cutting. I have used my utility knife before. The thing is, if it's a thin area of plastic, you can use that. Like if I'm going from here to here, this is just a real thin plastic right here. I'll come in a little closer. If I'm going in just right in here, and this is a real thin plastic, I could cut with this. I would want to use a fresh blade, which I need to do anyways. So I'm going to get a fresh blade out of here. And for this guy, I actually do go right across right here. I mean, you could fancy it up if you want to a little bit. Basically what I want is to cut across right here and just have enough for this handle here. And then what I'll end up cutting is right across up here actually, because this part just chambers and holds and protects the magazine, but it doesn't actually do anything. The actual catch, just empty out my screws, the catch for the magazine is on this side in here. So when the magazine advances, you've got these catches here. So this is way up here. All this extra stuff is unnecessary pretty much. So I'm just going to go ahead and line this up. And what I like to actually do here is to make just a small initial cut. There is a screw hole right here. So I want to see if I can keep that just to give the bottom of the handle a little extra stability. So what I'll actually do to start to make the cuts real clean and easy is I'll cut here around this tube, since that's a real easy cut, and then I will do up in here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this first half here. And if you're pressing too hard, that means your knife's too dull. It should go pretty easy through, especially if you're using a new blade. And this part's a pretty thin part. You can also make a line, make a small cut. Press in a little bit here. And if you make a small line, you can actually just break it. Right there, break it a little more. And that was a real easy cut right there. I'll sand that up a little bit later. Then I'll do the same thing on this guy over here. All these screws out of the way. Still working on getting my workbench all set up here. But having a nice big flat surface really helps. In here, put this guy over, and it breaks real easy like that. Make that line, you make a line for the cut, otherwise you'll get it shearing off in different directions. It'll still work, it just won't look as pretty. So, got those cuts right in there now. So next what I want to do is I want to get this guy all off here. So, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. This plastic right in here comes out pretty easy, so I'm going to do the same thing with that. I'm going to go directly downwards in here. Now you can use a Dremel if you want to as well. I'm just doing it this way because not everyone has a Dremel. And you can do it this way and still make some nice clean cuts. In right around here. I'm just going to get this inner plastic part off. it's getting a little dull. Just going to switch that around. And see, it sliced right through really easy with that fresher side. Okay, so we got that cut in there. And I don't know if you can see, there is actually a nice little line here. Right in here. I'm going to follow this line right in here to guide my blade. Now on the other side in here, you start to see some of these ridges of plastic. So you do gotta cut right into those. If you got a fresh blade, you should be able to just cut into them real easy. Cut right through it there. All the way through. There we go, almost there. And now for this part, just going to follow my blade right in that line there. Just do that a couple times, make a nice line. And now I should just be able to cut it. Don't want to do that. Your blade should go in right, pretty nice and easy. Probably could put a fresh blade on this again. So you do have another guy right in here. Just kind of trim that down on the edge there. Cut right there, and now we're just going across. Oops, dropping its blade out here. I'm going to go ahead and just put a new fresh blade on here because I don't want to be pushing so hard. When you push harder, you risk cutting yourself, and that's no bueno. Okay. Got another ridge right in there. Now there's this big ridge guy right here. First I'm just going to get some of my initial cut through here on this side, then I can see exactly where I need to go, and on the other side. Okay, so right about here, right above this dot guy right here. See, it's cracked right in there. And look at that. Just going to make a cut right across. Right. And there we go. So there's our first cut. And so next I'm going to cut to, we're going to work on this part. I'm just going to do this part first. So I'll be right back while we do that. Alright guys, so I have completed the other side, and as you can see, we're just about there. We just got to get this tank part off of it. We can also sand up this stuff in a minute. I'll show you guys how I like to usually do that. So we're going to go ahead and get this tank part off now. Like I said, I want to see if I can preserve this screw here, just so we can give a little bit of extra stability there on the bottom. So I am going to cut right across here, because I don't need all this extra junk on the bottom. Just want to have a nice clean cut across. So I'll just make my initial cut like we said before, and I'm just going to go straight. Just to make that initial cut. And then I'm going to cut on the yellow here. I can always trim off a little bit of excess if I need to. Just go straight across. Okay. Put this guy back on. This side. Okay. So this guy around. Bring it in so I can see. Just going to cut pretty much straight through, and again, if we're using a fresher blade, should be pretty easy. Try flipping this guy around. By giving that a little bit of bend, you can start to see, I don't know if you can tell in there, see a little bit of the line. I'm just going to go ahead and make that line on the inside as well. Oops, sorry. Now I'm going to go in on this part right here. That cut right through right there. Going to continue that cut right in there. Just work that cut there. And I got to cut in right in here now. So I'm going to go ahead and make that cut. Just kind of work it back and forth in there. And this piece broke, but it's fine. Don't really care about that. Not going to need it. There we go. So I just pulled this back here and I busted along the line. Got a little junk in there, but we can trim that off. I'll go ahead and do that now. So just go in here, trim some of that bit off. There we go. And trim some of this yellow off. There we go. So we were able to keep that hole right there, which is good. Alright, so as you can see, this is basically what our gun's going to look like. Pretty nice and minimized. Not cleaned up yet, that's fine. Can always clean it up later. So I'm just going to put this shell on here, just so I can kind of line that up a little bit. basically do the same thing. Go across right in here. And go ahead and get a fresh blade. Now what I usually do is I'll make a cut over the area that I actually want it. Because once you start sanding and everything, you want to leave a little bit of room where you're sanding. Otherwise it ends up being smaller or shorter than you want it to be. So you always give yourself a little bit of room. We're doing that sanding later. Let's see, that fresh blade cuts right through. Real easy. Put that in there, and if we're lucky, I made that line on the other side here. And actually what I can do, breaks right along the line, right there. No extra cutting. So that takes me, and we have our minimized shell right there. We can clean this up a little bit. I might even actually bring this up a little bit so this is flat instead of having this curved part, but you kind of get the idea there. I do have that screw hole right there. I'm going to go ahead and just assemble this now and test it. This guy, I'll bring you in close so you can see. This ring goes into this catch. This holds this as this arm moves. This goes in here. This line. These springs help your line from kinking, which is really good on those curves. You can actually take spare strings out of springs out of other guns, put them on these lines here, and help keep your guns from kinking up internally. This guy right in here. There. And we've got that gun right on there. I'm just going to put on a couple screws here. See if I can find where I put. There's one really long screw that goes into this hole here. So just going to get that screw in. You do definitely want this and this screw in, because those holds the gun together to make sure that the catch is holding the magazine in place. So if you're testing, you want to at least have those two in. Okay. So I got those two in. The other ones, I'll stick one back here as well, just because that's holding down the back part of the firing mechanism. Everything else is, we can fix up. So there you have it. There is your minimized Magstrike. And I do that mag here. I'm going to go ahead and plug this guy in. Make sure this is on. Turn this guy down to, it's a little high. I usually run, Magstrikes need a minimum of about 35 psi to operate. I usually run mine at about 55 psi. The reason being because I noticed over firing them over a period of time, sometimes they don't fully actuate. And so 55 is enough to where it fires it more consistently, but it keeps it about stock range. You do get a little bit of boost power. But now your magazine just kind of hangs out at the bottom there. If you really wanted to, on your own Magstrike, want to keep this bottom part here, you could cut across here. Cut right across here, just take off that. And you would still have the part that has the magazine. I mean, if you wanted to leave this bottom part here, you'd pretty much have a gun that looks like that. And then if you wanted to, you could mount, you know, strong arm under there, whatever you wanted to. So I'd take this off though, just because for this particular one, I just wanted a single Magstrike to use alongside my other heavy duty one. So let's go ahead and test fire this guy. And there you go. Now this is one little catch of this type. If your magazines are loose and they don't hold these in well, they can get caught. So that is one little thing about this one. I have a couple magazines that have very good hold, so I don't have to worry about that. The one benefit about this type though is there's not a whole heck of a lot aside from the catch. They're very quick and easy to reload because there's less down here to get caught on. So I'll go ahead and actually turn this up a little bit because it's actually dropping down to about 40 there. There you go. So there's a minimized Magstrike right there. I'm going to go ahead and sand some of this up a little bit, clean it up a little bit. But as far as minimizing the Magstrike, if you're using an external air tank system, that is the smallest you can make a Magstrike is without doing any other major modifications. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in my channel. You can leave a comment below. You can also subscribe for when I do other videos as well. And thank you very much for watching.